Okay. And we're back.
So, anyhow, these laws that target clinics to provide abortion services, even though they're targeted just at that one service, really inhibit women from access to all health care relating to their reproduction and, just general women's health, because it shuts down so many of these providers.
Right.
And so those laws that are made of that nature are now what are known as TRAP laws, TRAP.
Wow. Okay.
And that's called, it stands for targeted restrictive abortion procedures.
Okay.
And so what those are basically the same thing as what happened in Texas and Whole Women's Health.
Mm-hmm.
They were just simply billed, attempts to shut down any and all clinics that provide those services.
Okay.
And lots of states have followed in their footsteps. So just off the top of my head, I know that now in Michigan, 83% of the counties are without clinics that provide those services. Missouri, 96% of their counties are without. Oklahoma as well.
Okay.
And then Mississippi, 99% of their counties are without clinics that provide those services.
Which is crazy because we're not just talking about abortion. We're talking about women's health care, reproductive.
Right.
We're just talking about, things that women have to go to the doctor all the time for. And that's crazy.
Right. It's insane because
that was attached to it. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially like in Texas currently still, even though that was struck down by the Supreme Court, 93% of our counties are without access to those types of clinics. 93% of our counties are without that. That's astounding to me because
that is
huge.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, there's 5.4 million women of reproductive age in our state.
Right.
5.4 million. That's just women of reproductive age. And for 93% of our counties to not have access to those types of services is ridiculous.
That is insane.
It really is.
Where are they supposed to turn? Where they're going to go to their general provider?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not good. They're not specialized in these things typically.
And that works for men because, like I said, they can get those things done at their annual physical.
Right.
But women's reproductive systems are more complex, and so that requires specialists.
Right. So it deleted a lot of jobs, but it's going to sound like it's going to create a lot more opportunities for people to get into healthcare and become specialists and find ways around that law, I would think.
I really hope so. It just depends on how the laws are drafted.
Okay.
Because a lot, like in Mississippi, for instance, where 99% of their counties are without those services,
mm-hmm.
the way the law is drafted is so restricted that there's really no way
mm-hmm.
for more to be developed.
I'm sure they'll find a way around it like they do everything else. They'll just label it differently. Or they will have to find a way. You can't just take away women's services. You just can't take that away,
I mean, well, that's what you think. That's what any rational thinking person would think, but it's been this way for decades.
Wow. That's... Mm-hmm. Wow. That blows my mind.
Yeah, I know, right? It's been this way for decades because very conservative lawmakers don't want to budge on these issues. And so, one of the major issues they don't want to budge on even is, contraceptives or birth control.
Right.
And that, to me, it is crazy because they would rather their states have, abstinence-only sex education.
Yeah, and I've got an argument on this one, too. There's actually a movie about this. It's called The Pact, and it's where they refuse to hand out contraceptives to teenagers. And a bunch of
Yeah.
teenage girls, have you seen this movie? A bunch of teenage girls created a pact to all get pregnant and have babies at the same time. They're 13, 14 years old, all because the schools refused to have sex education classes and hand out contraceptives. They'd rather issue pregnancy tests. And I feel kind of strongly about that issue too. That one doesn't make any sense why they would want to not intervene in a prevention way.
Right. Especially in states like Mississippi that have some of the highest STD rates in the nation.
Right.
They are still so adamant on preaching their abstinence-only sex education classes.
That doesn't
which is
work,
fine
though.
if you want to teach that, but you have to still provide access to, birth control as well. Not only for birth control purposes, but also for STD prevention.
Exactly. And
so
it's kind of normal for a teenage girl to be on birth control. It helps regulate their body at that age.
Right. Anyway, like even not for birth control purposes. Like I got on it personally when I was 12 years old because I had severe
hormonal issues. Right.
It helps regulate it helps regulate so many things more than that. Like
I know.
A lot of people don't realize is that it has so many health benefits other than just preventing pregnancy. And what the issue with a lot of these lawmakers are, older.
Yeah, I know. I know about that. And
so it seems crazy to me that men get to make decisions about women's health care when they really don't know anything about it.
Right. I agree.
And so, I don't know, that was kind of astounding to me that this many states have had 80 to 99% of their counties without access to these clinics for decades now.
That's insane. That really is. And, I mean, who's going to provide solutions for that is the question.
The voters.
Okay.
That's really the only way that we can provide solutions to that is voting in people that will think more progressively on this and try and change the laws.
Okay.
Because we keep voting in the same sort of people with the same ideologies, it's just going to keep perpetuating the cycle.
Agreed. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It really does. But
because I mean, if you look at the track record over since I believe the 70s, it's been the same thing over and over again, like the same rhetoric and ideology over and over about birth control is evil, all that sort of stuff. And so let's not try and educate and provide services for that. Instead, let's preach abstinence only and hope for the best. Well,
yeah, that doesn't work. Yeah.
You think after this many years they'd realize that maybe that's not the best idea.
I mean, you would think you would, but it's going to take one of their own teenage children getting pregnant for them to open up their eyes.
Yeah, and in Colorado, I believe I can't remember how many years ago it was, but they allowed free IUDs.
Mm-hmm.
And the teen pregnancy rate in their state was cut in half within the first year and was down by 70% by the second.
That's amazing. Oh, and let's talk about the health, the care that they have to provide for these teenagers in these schools that want to talk about abstinence. Now they have to open up daycare centers in the schools so the children can still go to school.
Right.
Isn't that insane?
It is. It really is. Like, that blows my mind. First of all, how are you going to put a kid in a position to where they don't have the education or availability to, contraceptives to where they might make a mistake and be forced to have a child while they're still a kid.
And drop out of school and everything. Right.
Right. Having a child completely changes your life.
Right.
Not saying it's for the worse or for the better, but it completely changes your life.
Right.
I mean, you're having a kid. And so that's a decision that everyone should have all of the education and all of the access to full support for.
I agree. Everybody needs to be more informed. I really do.
And it all starts with our state legislatures, because
Okay.
it starts at home, and it starts with the sex education that the children are receiving, and it starts with
Our
access
schools.
to contraception.
Right.
Yeah, and access to, just like health information in general.
Okay.
And, that goes back to the voters. Like I said earlier, you have to vote in people who are on the same page with that and not just stuck in this abstinence-only rhetoric.
Okay,
Because
so is
that
this going to
only-
be, is this, since you're in law school, how hard are you going to fight for this issue? Are you going to fight in Texas? Are you going to fight, I'm sure that's got to do with, you sound so passionate about it. I'm sure this has got something to do with where your career is going to take you, being a law student.
Yeah, so my end goal is to ultimately, I want to be a judge.
Okay, good.
But, it takes a while to get there. So
Yeah.
I have to start in some sort of litigation and work my way up. But yeah, this is something that I am very passionate about. Even in undergrad, I was on our university's moot court team, and this was the issue for that. And so,
Very cool.
so from like the get-go in my higher education, like this has always been in the forefront for me.
Okay.
I actually worked on Wendy Davis's gubernatorial campaign for that reason.
Wow.
But, so, yeah, I really want to get back to Texas and try to start my battle on that front first and foremost.
Right.
Because now Texas has some of the most restrictive and the most egregious women's health laws right now.
Right.
And so I'm going to do anything and everything that I can in that matter. I love constitutional law, and that's what a lot of this is.
Right.
Because it goes back to the rulings from the Supreme Court from Roe v. Wade and Casey.
Right.
And so, I don't know if I'm going to work with the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, but that's definitely an option. I potentially want to get into public policy and help draft some of these laws if I am able to have that opportunity. But yeah, definitely, like something has to change because the percentages of counties without access to these clinics is insane.
Right. I know. That's crazy. Well, I hope that you are able to utilize your law degree and help make changes for women to end teen pregnancy or at least reduce it. Like, I really hope that that's something that you put forth a lot of effort because that's a big deal.
It really is. It's a huge deal. And it's something that's 100% preventable.
I agree.
And it's insane that it's such an issue that it is.
I know. I agree. Anything preventable should be prevented, or at least tried to be prevented. You know?
The main issue with that is that people don't want to divert funds for that.
Oh, I know.
So
it always comes down to money. I know.
It all comes back to money.
Yeah.
But if anything, we can learn from Colorado and see that, even though they diverted the funds for that initially, it's helped. In the long run, it's reduced funds being expended because it cuts down on teen pregnancy.
Right, by half.
Pregnancies in general
amazing.
are pretty expensive.
Yeah. It's like, well, 5-10 years ago, it was $20,000 a year to raise a child, and I'm sure that's quadrupled by this point in life.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So.
And not only that, but people who are impoverished to have a child at a hospital, they're relying on public assistance.
And now we're taking that public assistance away, right?
Right. And not only that, but if you cut down on teen pregnancy, I know a lot of young mothers are in that wage bracket.
Right.
And so that would also reduce the funds going into that taxpayers would have to pay, because it would reduce the amount of young mothers having children.
I agree.
And so people need to think about it from a more 30,000 foot view, rather than in what's right in front of their nose.
Right. And they need to add it up and see which one makes more sense financially.
Right. And because, like, I mean, my parents, for instance, with the Healthcare Act, they are very, they almost have blinders on, because the ACA, Obamacare, they really took a hit on their finances because of it, because they were in a small percentage of the country who own their own business. And
right. Right.
I had to explain to them, I said, I know that it seems tough right now and that this really isn't fair to you, but you have to have perspective and think about it in terms that for the first time in your 50-something years of life, this is the first time that a piece of legislation hasn't directly helped you or promoted you.
Right.
And that's pretty amazing that you've been that fortunate that this is the first time that it hasn't directly helped you in some way. And I was like, you also have to keep in mind that this was drafted for the majority of Americans.
Right.
Those people who get insurance through their job.
Right.
And that's, like I said, that's the majority of the country. And so for those people, it really does help. And so I know it stinks for them right now. And I was like, y'all can, that was one of their primary reasons for voting the way that they did. But that was just an example of, like, only seeing, like, what's in front of you. And in terms of sexual education and healthcare and birth control aspects of it, people need to take a step back from it, from their local, like, funds, and see, okay, wait a minute. Yeah, I know I don't want to have to pay higher taxes to fund this initially, but
right, long term.
If you look at the projections, it'll pay off in the long run.
Right.
You'll be paying less taxes to the public assistance needed for those young mothers to have the children in the first place.
But that's in a perfect world. When it comes to taxes, that's in a perfect world.
Oh, well, yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
But there's always something that you're going to have to pay taxes on. But,
right.
But in that specific regard, Colorado is a perfect example that that's how that does work.
Right. I agree with you. I like what Colorado did, and I think it makes a lot of sense, and I hope that more states will follow their lead and will learn from it. Another suggestion would be to open up free women's services clinics that didn't provide termination services, but still provided the other benefits.
Yeah, and that is one option, and that's how a lot of states have combated that.
Right.
But there are still some, like a good bit of states that have provisions that say if you provide like Plan B or the morning after pill or any sort of form of contraception, that they can't operate either.
Wow.
Yeah. That's in places like Mississippi and I think Missouri as well. But just off the top of my head.
Wow.
But yeah.
Okay. Well, that was a very honest and powerful perspective, and I appreciate you sharing that with the world. Is there anything else that you would like to get your message out about? Anything else you'd like to say?
Not really. Just everyone needs to be an informed voter.
Okay.
And everyone needs to vote, first and foremost. I was actually a deputy registrar for Tarrant County in college, and that means that I would go around asking people to register to vote.
Right.
And there's a lot of misconception that when you register to vote, that signs you up for jury duty. And that's not true.
It's not true
at all.
Right.
If you you have a driver's license, you're eligible for jury duty. So,
Exactly. Yes.
I just wanted people to know that, but you
Good.
have to
Thank you.
vote. Like if you're at all concerned about anything in your community, you have to vote. Even like if it's just at the local level, at your city council level, like you need to vote and you need to be informed about it too. Like
Right.
there's websites out there that you can literally search and compare different candidates for every level of election and see what their viewpoints on certain issues are, see how they
Yep.
voted on issues in the past. You know, if something's important to you, you need to vote and you need to get out there and make sure that you're voting for someone who's going to advance what you want to happen.
Okay, so how do they research a specific senator, congressman, or see where these habits are coming from, how they have acted in the past? Where can people who don't know any better research this information so they can be a more educated at their decision when they go to vote?
Google.
Okay.
I know it sounds funny, but really.
In each state, though, right? Or each county, each state?
Yeah, I mean, you just go on to Google, and like I did this for my last election, because I voted by absentee ballot, because I'm in Massachusetts right now. So when I was voting for some of the county seats, I didn't know anything about the people that were up to those seats. So I just Googled, their names and like their policies. It said, like, for instance, say someone's name was like Jack Smith.
Okay.
And so I Googled like Jack Smith, XYZ County.
Right.
Policy stance on this thing.
Okay.
And it pulls up lots of websites. I can't remember the one that I used off the top of my head.
But that's okay. That's a good starting point for people who don't even know where to start.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're hearing you,
that's
but
what I did.
Yeah.
And it really helps because I had no clue who some of these people even were.
Okay.
And so it really helped because, like, I've never voted a straight ticket in my life, but I also don't like not voting in every category on a ballot.
Right.
Because I think if you're going to vote, you might as well vote for everything.
Right.
And so that's why I went and researched that. But yeah, it's a lot easier than it seems. You just have to, try.
Okay. Well, thank you for that information, and I hope that helps a lot of people. If there's anything I can do to help your cause, let me know. Maybe we can come up with some creative ways to find ways around this, because women's health care is important, and that's not fair to just take it all away based off of one thing. And there needs to be some serious and immediate solutions to that. So I'm all over a good cause, and I'd be willing to help in any way. And
well, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. I've really appreciated this interview, and I hope you have a good evening.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.